This is your government video for Federalist Number 10. Federalist Number 10 is one of the Federalist Papers, which are essays that were published in New York newspapers around the time that the Constitutional Convention was wrapping up and they were starting to get the colonists to have to ratify and vote on the new Constitution. Federalist Number 10 is one of your required readings for the AP test, and so this video should be done after you've read Federalist Number 10 and completed your reading assignment. So you do have to read Federalist Number 10. There is a reading guide, and if you pull that up, you have to complete the hit portion at the top, and then you can take notes on the annotation pane to the right. The Federalist Number 10 has been pre-highlighted for you in order to help pinpoint really important parts. Once you have submitted that assignment, this video is to help you take notes on the very most important parts of Federalist Number 10. So Number 10 is written by James Madison, and the main topic area of Federalist Number 10 is factions. Factions are basically divisions of people who have different political opinions. And that's the term that they used back then for all different types of people who had different opinions. Remember, they don't have political parties or interest groups the way that we have today. So a faction today, we would consider a political party or an interest group or maybe even a protest group. Madison is making the argument that factions are really harmful to the republic or to democracy in general. And he says there's only two ways to deal with this. We can completely eliminate them, or we can control the side effects of factions. And he goes into some arguments as to why we can't really eliminate them completely. Getting rid of factions means we're getting rid of people's liberties and freedoms. People have the right to disagree with one another, and they have the right to state that publicly, and they have the right to state why they like or don't like people who are in government or people who want to be running for office. So we can't just tell them, you can't be in a political party or you can't have these political interests. He also said the only other way to eliminate them is to make sure that all the citizens have the exact same opinions, and then there wouldn't be differences in factions. And he is saying this sarcastically. Of course, we cannot destroy liberty. That would be worse than the disease of the faction in general. So he says we have to control the negative side effects of factions. And one of his main arguments is really interesting, and he's directly counteracting some other political philosophers who are writing at the time. He argues that large republics, meaning large geographic countries, where you have lots of different diverse people in lots of different states with lots of different economic interests, are better at controlling the effects of factions than, let's say, a really small country where a lot of the people are very similar. There were a lot of political philosophers at the time who were looking at the United States and were saying, oh, even though it was only 13 colonies, that's just such a big area. And the people in the north and the people in the south disagree. The people on the ocean versus inland, all of these people have too many diverse interests. It will never work there. The new world is going to, it's never going to work out. They're going to, turn to war, and, they're going to need England. So Madison is saying the exact opposite here. He's saying that when you have a large, diverse group of people, that the majority, so let's say the majority wins some election and they win with, let's say, 55% of the vote. And that does mean that there's a certain portion or a minority of people who didn't really like that political party or that elected official. And he said, but that's okay, because the minority is still so large that they have, some power in the next election, and they have some power by banding together, so that the majority can't just completely steamroll, the other 45% of people who were close to winning the election but did not. In a place that's really small, where the people are homogenous and very similar, if you're the minority or somebody who's different, then you are such a small minority compared to the vast overbearing majority that you are far more likely to be harmed by the majority. You're going to be outcast. You're going to have no political power. It's going to be very difficult for you to ever be treated the same by the majority. So Madison is basically saying that because America is large and because it has diverse people, that will be better at making sure that the majority does not treat the minority terribly.